Here's how an elderly lady almost lost $50,000 from a lowball offer on her house that was worth $200,000. So here's the backstory of the lady. Before we even met her, she had a fixer-upper house. She had lived in there for 20 years. The house was falling apart. I mean, the roof was caving in, foundation. It was an older house built in 1960, so the pipes had to be replaced. These are all major expenses, plus the whole interior needed to be replaced. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, she was an older lady. She just retired, and she tried to fix it herself. She strained her back. Matter of fact, when I went in the house, she had materials in there of her trying to fix the house herself. Fixing a house yourself is hard enough, but being an older single lady makes it even harder, in my opinion. Of course, anybody can do it. A man can do it, a woman can do it, a young person can do it, an older person can do it. But I think it's harder that way, especially if you don't have any experience. So I got to talking to her, and she said the investor before her offered her $50,000. Okay. She got offered $50,000. The house was worth $200,000. It needed $70,000 to $80,000 in repairs. So I told her that was a lowball offer, and we were able to get her about $100,000 for her property. So let's break down this whole situation, right? Of course, we want the seller to get the most for their property. They've put their hard-earned money into the property. They saved up a down payment, and they've lived in there for years, okay? But we also got to look at it this way. They did not take care of their house. For example, my mother-in-law, every year she's improving her house. She's updating the kitchen. She's updating the bathroom. Now, these don't have to be huge updates, right? Just update the flooring, right? You can do that 1 year. The next year, update the painting, paint the outside of the house. The next year, redo one bathroom. The next year, do another bathroom. Make sure the foundation is good, right? You can do this slowly by slowly. So when you've lived in the house for 30 years, even if it's not top of the market as far as how it looks, depending on how many updates you did, you can still get a reasonable offer for your property. Okay, so this lady, we're going to call her Jennifer, she did not take care of her property. Okay, so that's number one. If you don't take care of your property, the value is not going to go up as high as it should be. People always say, oh, real estate always goes up. Yes, real estate always goes up as far as the max value you can get for it. But if the house needs repairs, the repairs have to be done. Okay, so she did take care of her property. The next thing about the situation, and that's no shame to her, maybe she wasn't able to, whatever the case, it happens. Now, should you sell it through a realtor? Should you sell it to a cash investor? Okay, let's do the math. Her house is worth $200,000 all fixed up. Here's why people like us are essential. Her other option is she can list it with a realtor. Let's say she lists it with a realtor, okay? Now the house needs $70,000 to $80,000 repairs, and it's worth $200,000. Okay, so an investor is gonna have to pay $80,000 just to repair the property. They're also gonna have to pay realtor fees on the back end when they sell it, and most likely they're gonna have to pay lender costs. Okay, so a realtor is probably gonna list it for, I'm going to say $120,000, probably $100,000, $120,000. Okay. So in this scenario, $120,000, I'm doing the math here, times 6%. So that's $7,200. Best case scenario, assuming that a buyer is going to pay for that much, she's walking away with $112,000. Okay. I think we ended up offering her like 107. I can't really remember, but it's basically the same amount. And this is the best case scenario, because I know for a fact an investor is probably going to offer the $50,000, $70,000 offer. So honestly, because let me give you the investor's numbers. Okay. Let's say the investor buys it for $120,000. The investor puts $80,000 into it. They're already at $200,000. Plus they had to pay 6% to a realtor, which is $12,000 of $200,000. So the investor is actually going to be upside down on the property if they buy it for $120,000. Okay, so they actually need to buy it for about $80,000, right? You put $80,000 into it. That's $160,000. And let's say I'm gonna put $12,000 for realtor fees. So that $172,000, and that doesn't include lender costs. I'm gonna add another $5,000. So the investor is $177,000 all in, and they gotta hope they sell it for $200,000 to make $23,000. Okay, so they have to spend $177,000 just to make $23,000. Okay, so you see the math, and when you add a realtor in there, you're just going to subtract the fees. So that is why investors and people like us are needed, because the seller does not have to pay the realtor fees, especially the investor is paying cash. You can pay a little bit more. So that's kind of what happens when you break it down that way. Okay, the only person who's going to want this property is either an investor or somebody who's going to fix it up and live in it. But the challenge is that anybody who wants to fix it up and live in it is probably a regular person, and they do not have cash on hand. Okay, they're going to have to get a conventional home loan, and a fixer-upper is not going to qualify for this. Okay, so the lesson here is investors have to make money too. Take care of your property. Okay, you don't have to do drastic repairs. If you've been in the house 30 years, you can do simple repairs here and there. Okay, make sure the foundation is good, get a good warranty. Make sure the roof is good, get a good warranty. At least keep the majors. The plumbing, keep it up to date. Let's say you bought your house in 1960, it's old, you have to redo the pipes. It's gonna be $23,000 to repair. Every year you can put $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 aside after the majors are taken care of. And let's say in the 10th year, you can redo the pipes, right? This is a long-term thing. That's how you keep up your house. Same thing with the kitchen. Every year, put $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 aside. Make sure the water heater is up to date, etc. And that's how you're gonna get the most for your money.